Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to Let's Talk About Sleep. I have been on vacation for the last week or so, hence no videos, but I'm back, and I am glad to be talking to you all. As I always have to mention, here's the book. The link to this, the Amazon link, is in the description box down below. When we get to 1,000 subscribers, as of the recording of this, we are inching close. So just keep sharing these videos with your friends and family. I greatly appreciate it. If you have questions, if you have comments, leave them in the comment section. I will at least once a month make a video addressing all questions and comments. So thank you for those who have contributed. One last housekeeping thing, or two last things I want to say is. These videos, again, as I always say, are for educational purposes only. And if the last thing I was going to say is, if you have any interest in it, I was on Frank Morano's WABC radio show about 2 weeks ago, as the recording of this video. He has this program. It's called The Other Side of Midnight, and it's on around 3 a.m. I think it's 1 to 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's a really great show. I've listened to it myself at times. So it's great, and you can find my interview there. He was fantastic, really great interviewer. So with that being said, let's get to today's video. So what I wanted to talk about today was, not to be a hater, but some of the failed things that have come out for sleep apnea over the years. And there's really two main ones that I want to touch on that you probably have heard about. I still get questions about these every now and then, but I think it's good to have them out there so that people, if they read online, like, oh, this thing worked for me, or this and that, years ago, you know what it is that they're talking about. So the first thing, let's take a step back. Sleep apnea, right? Stoppage of breathing that happens back here, back where the tongue sits, airway closes off. We know about that. I have many videos on that on this channel. Okay, so the goal is to open up this airspace, right? And the standard is CPAP, right? Continuous positive airway pressure. And basically what that does, pressurized air comes in here, goes all the way down to the back of the throat, forces the airway open. Okay, great. So there have been a couple things that have come out kind of based on that paradigm, which sounded really, really, really good and actually did have some success, but after a number of studies showing that they weren't that effective, and plus patients not liking them, these two things I'm going to be talking about kind of fell by the wayside. You really don't hear about them too much anymore. So the first one, the more popular one, is something called Provent. Okay, Provent. And what that was basically these stickers that would go on the nostrils, right? So it kind of like a almost looks like a Band-Aid, right, that you'd put under the nose. Okay, so one here and then one here. And what it would do is basically every time the person breathed out, right, it was a one-way valve. So they could breathe in through their nose, no problem. But if they breathed out, they kind of got resistance. Okay, so basically what would happen is the person, they would fall asleep. In the theory, the mouth would close. Okay, so you got kind of a closed loop situation. Mouth is closed, the person breathes in, but they can't really breathe out. And what occurs is they don't choke, but what happens is the pressure in the upper airway gets built up, and what happens is it's almost like a backflow. The pressure builds up here, and then it forces the air down the back of the throat, and it kind of forces the airway open. At least that's the principle of it. Okay, so it sounds like you're basically pressurizing the airway essentially with every breath. Okay, sounds good. The problem, though, is patients would open their mouth, or the stickers would fall off, or it just didn't work, right, or wasn't that effective. So this kind of fell out of favor. I would say this was really popular probably around 2012, 2013, and then it kind of trailed off. The company, or I think they may have been bought up by someone, but the company, I think, still makes similar types of devices for snoring. Okay, so just for snoring, so not for sleep apnea. If somebody has true sleep apnea, this is not approved for treatment there, and it's not something any sleep provider is going to be going after. But for snoring, maybe it could work still, but I would definitely, for a medical device, I would not recommend this to anybody. Okay, but that was the principle of it. So basically, you're self-pressurizing your airway. Okay, so that was Provent. All right, and you may still see them, time to time, or similar technology. Like I said, mostly for snoring these days. The other is something called Winx, Winx, and I actually wrote about this I wrote about both of them in my book. But Winx, I had high hopes for. So we said CPAP basically blows pressurized air in, goes all the way down to the back of the throat, forces the airway open. Okay, makes sense. What Winx is kind of the reverse of that. So this would be like almost like a mouth guard, okay, that you would wear, but it's not a guard. It's like a little device that you put in your mouth at nighttime, and it's attached to a little tube, okay, a very, very tiny tube, not like a CPAP tube, like a tube the size of like a straw, okay, and that tube goes to a little box, okay, that's the size of like I don't know, this coffee cup, right? So that sits on the nightstand. You have this thing in your mouth, okay. You turn it on at night, and basically what it does, instead of pressurized air coming in and forcing the airway open, this actually pulls or sucks pressure out. So you say, how could pressurized air help, but also reverse pressure work? What this is doing is, because where it sits in the mouth, like this mouth guard, it actually is pulling the tongue forward. Okay, so again, you're kind of sucking the tongue away from the back of the throat. Almost in a way of like what you do with a dental device, right? You pull your lower jaw forward, it pulls the tongue away from the back of the throat. This is doing it with reverse, like a vacuum cleaner, for lack of a better term. Okay? Principle is the same though. You're opening up the airspace back here. So I actually had a couple patients that I put on Winx. They couldn't tolerate CPAP for whatever reason, or it didn't work for them, or whatever, and they did okay with it. Unfortunately, though, the company went out of business, and that was that. So I don't know if somebody will ever take up this technology again. I hope they do, because I do think there is some benefit to it. But even when they were at full force, it was very, very difficult to get patients on this, insurance coverage and all that other nonsense that we usually deal with. But that was the other kind of failed technology, which you don't hear about or see about anymore, which is a shame. It's always. It's always good to have alternatives, even if they're not perfect. It's always good to have them, at your disposal as a provider or a physician, whatever. Okay, and for patients, obviously. So, but anyway, that's the sad tale of Winx and Provent. Hopefully somebody sees this and maybe takes up the reign for something else down the road. All right. So again, videos are for educational purposes only. Please click like if you like this. Please subscribe to the channel. We're inching towards 1,000, and when we do, somebody will get a signed copy of this bad boy. And share this video with your friends and family. Okay? And until next time, everybody, sleep well.